Welcome, welcome everybody. I will just be admitting people from the waiting room. Questions on the material and things that I'm going to go through with you today will be at the end, because I might have already answered some of the stuff. So if we stop in and out and I start taking questions in the middle of things, you might find that I'm about to answer the question further along in some of the material. And all drop in together. So first of all, give yourselves a bit of a nice energy shower and energy rinse off. Get rid of anything from your day with the intention of removing anything that no longer serves you. Quite a nice thing to do before we drop in with each other. Get in your body, in your legs, stand up, give yourselves a shimmy and a shake. And chuck all that no longer serves you out the window or down to the floor, not on your neighbour or anyone that happens to be in the room with you. Out the window or down to the floor.
The window open.
There we go. I'll put everybody on mute. Fabulous. And then settling, feeling some of that heat from rubbing yourselves down. And then I invite you all to take a breath in with me and hold it at the top after 3. 1, 2, 3, breathing in. And hold. And out. Beautiful. Feeling your nervous system relax. Breathing in again. And hold. And relax. And breathing in for the 3rd time. Holding at the top. And out. Beautiful. Take a couple of breaths by yourself and just be with yourself. Giving yourself a present in the present moment. Thanking yourself for this session today, for this hour class. And then closing your eyes, feeling into your body. Feeling into yourself. Feeling your heartbeat. Feeling your breath. And then my invitation to you is to hold a warm feeling in your heart and invite a holy presence to surround you. So feeling a heat at your back. Sense, feel, or imagine that you have an energy just above your head, sitting just on top of your arms, very lightly against your back. Feels warm, loving, tingly, as if you're being held by the universe. Be in gratitude for all the energies supporting you. Acknowledge the existence and the presence of that love. Wonderful. And you'll notice that it leaves in its own time Might not stay for that long, and then you are back with yourself. Back with yourself, back with your own energy. Being in the presence of your body. And I start with heightening the awareness to the body, because we do forget. Sorry, you can open your eyes and come back with me. Open your eyes, come back with me. We do forget that we listen, not just with our ears and with our minds, but we listen with our entire bodies. Picking up data, every single cell in our body is like a community. All the cells of the information are absorbing this present moment, this information. And for me personally, if you're on this call, then your soul has guided you here. This is no mistake, no accident. There are no coincidences. That this information is brought to you by you. It's just cleverly camouflaged as coming from me over here. But this is certainly your soul wanting you to soak up this information. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And do feel free to take any notes. I am going to go through quite a lot. But this is my presentation on how I came to understand mystical abilities. So if you are struggling to connect to your soul's voice, then you are absolutely in the right place. My name is Claire J. I'm an advanced shamanic practitioner and mesa carrier. And I've spent the last 7 years being guided by shamanic energy. It's my soul's desire to share shamanic magic with the world. So this presentation is my 7-year journey alchemized into the most important pieces so that I can deliver that straight to you. Now, the first misconception I feel about spiritual work is that, or perhaps a shamanic practitioner, is that you need to be psychic already, or that you need to be a natural healer in the first place to claim your mystical abilities, that perhaps you needed to have known it since childhood or had other experiences. And I think that's a big, big misconception, that absolutely everyone is psychic. Nobody is more spiritual than the next person. It is that how do we connect to our soul's voice and learn directly from our soul's voice? And there is very much a process and a protocol of doing that. So I'm going to go through how I was able to discover the secret way to mystical connection. And I will walk you through it today. But before we do that, I'm going to speak to why you wouldn't necessarily need to be psychic already to do shamanic work. Just letting a few people in from the waiting room. So how I discovered lasting transformational results without having spiritual gifts from birth or any previous psychic awareness is that the shamanic wisdom works on all 3 levels. So by that I mean mind, body, soul. And if one is working with the understanding that those 3 combine each of us as a being, then you don't need natural spiritual gifts, because you're doing exactly what those are doing that are naturally gifted. They just don't realize that they're working on all of those levels. Okay? So this is really how miraculous healing occurs. And if you think about this, you'll kind of go, oh my goodness, yes, this is what happens. If somebody has a complete miraculous turnaround, it's because they've experienced healing on all levels simultaneously. So the old method, what we've been doing up till now really, is healing these things but separately. So for the mind, we do things like counseling, coaching, psychotherapy. There's TFT, EFT, CBT, NLP, all the stuff for the mind is going on. Hypnosis, rapid transformational therapy, RTT, all of these things. Then we might, for the body, go to yoga or have acupuncture or do breath work or have a massage or maybe Cambo. And it's all somatic release or trauma release, TRE, which is like shaking therapy for the body. And then for the soul, we've got a completely different category, which is you can go to psychic readings, or you can get an angel card reading, or perhaps you go and see a spiritual healer who channels Reiki. There's pranic healing, energy healing, lots of different types of spiritual healing. Now, the new method is bringing all of those three categories and having them together in one session. So this is the most important thing about the shamanic practitioner and what a shamanic session will be doing, because the journey work, the mystical abilities, that ability to journey the metaphysical realm, is getting messages from one's soul. Then we deliver that and do some coaching for the mind so that the mind understands. Then you would extract it out of the body, unravel it out of the body using somatic release. And you do all of these things in one session. And that is what is so profound that will create the lasting shifts. Okay, what we've been doing previously up till now, if you just do one of these things, just do counseling for the mind, let's say, but the body still has an autoimmune disease or is ill or is in pain. And if you don't do these things together, then one of them will just influence the other one back again. So if you've healed the mind, but the body still remembers, the body is then still going to create the tension, and the thoughts and the thinking, the patterns will just come back. And similarly, if you take it out of the body, but the mind still remembers, the thoughts are then going to recreate the same disease in the body over and over again, which is why people would have cycles of recurring issues. I know that's certainly been the case for me. I had 2 autoimmune disease until I figured this out. And I went, oh my goodness, the soul part was the missing piece of the puzzle that I needed. And it's the case with most therapies that the soul part's the missing piece. And for me personally, on my spiritual journey, I have realized that really all healing is on a soul level. And whatever needs to happen is that the body or the mind is trying to teach us something. The soul is wanting to speak to us through our illness, through our ailment, through whatever's happening. And then we have the message from the soul. Then we understand it in the mind, we extract it out of the body, and then we go, and it creates a completely lasting shift, and the pattern doesn't then reoccur or recreate itself. Okay. This is, for me, I don't think anyone else teaches this, or really anyone else is aware of this realization. But the reason why I'm aware of it is because it is simple metaphysics, that we are 3-part beings. So I went, why would we be healing ourselves using these parts separately? That's bonkers. And I think in 10 to 15 years' time, this will be the type of information that we all just went, why ever did we do it separately? This has got to be done together to create lasting shifts. The other misconception about us being 3-part beings is that when we die, we just become a soul. And for me, that's not the case at all, because you cannot kill energy. It's impossible for any energy to die. And we know this from physics, or if you were a computer programmer and you delete all the information on your computer, actually it doesn't vanish. It just goes to a different section on the hard drive to make the rest of it run really quickly. But data, the same as black holes in physics, you cannot kill it, cannot be destroyed. So for us to think when we die we just become a soul and that the body and the mind vanish is, for me, a little bit, doesn't make any sense. That it makes more sense that we are a three-part being here, and then when we re-identify, we are also a three-part being in the metaphysical. And this is what I teach about journeying and journeying to the metaphysical space, is that all entities there are also three-part beings. There are three energies in the metaphysical: mind, body, soul. We're three-part beings there and three-part beings here. The two dimensions are a reflection of each other. So a nice metaphor that I like to use to help everyone understand this is, we know scientifically that if we put a log on the fire, that the log is the physical object, but it doesn't just completely vanish. We know that that log just changes form. The energy doesn't completely go anywhere, it just changes. And that physical log becomes light and heat and smoke. So that the science shows us that the energy just changes form. It doesn't completely vanish ever. So we are three-part beings. And it's very important to use the soul work and include the mind and include the body. Okay? So that's the first piece why I think it's so paramount important for everybody to learn something like shamanic journeying, so that you can use the soul parts, connect with the soul's voice, speak to the soul, and use it when we're working and when we're healing multidimensionally on all levels. It's the missing piece of the puzzle when it comes to holistic treatments. Okay? So the question now is, how do we get really good at mystical skills really quickly, if this is the most important piece? And lucky for you, I'm about to teach you just that with the 3 secrets. So get your pens ready and your seatbelts on. The first secret to finding mystical connection is presence. The most important thing about being able to connect every time is being able to be present every time. And by that I mean in your power and fully in your body. That we spend quite a lot of time thinking about the future or identifying in the past. That we use a lot of our minds to experience this now moment based on things that have happened before. And we go, oh, this is how I reacted then, and I will just react again in this moment. And it's all created from the mind. Whereas when we are connected and in the present moment with the soul is much more creative. If you're in touch with your soul, you'll be creating. If you're in touch with your mind, you'll be reacting. The other thing we can do with the mind is extend into the future and have an idea of something, build up a fantasy of something that perhaps it isn't living. Let's say if one loses a job or something like that, then we experience soul loss because part of us is still living in a version of the future that never really happened. That we bring that power back and say, just because I thought that was going to happen doesn't mean that your energy is still there. The same thing if marriages and relationship breaks up, we go, I thought I was going to be with that person forever, and then the rails shift and some of our power is still metaphysically living that version of the future that doesn't exist. So the first thing to becoming fully present is to bring all of your thoughts down into the present moment and really anchor yourself to presence. And you're probably thinking, oh, well, easier said than done. But spiritual masters have always taught everyone, how on earth do you be present in the moment? It's like one of the things I used to get annoyed about at spiritual training was they would just say, well, you just go to a state of non-thought. And I'd be like, but I'm always thinking. Can't get away from my thoughts. Please tell me what to do rather than what not to do. And that's why I've come up with this absolutely bulletproof method, which works for me every single time. And this is to fully get present and in the now moment. We give our bodies and our minds all 3 human desires. So we have 3 core human desires. And once those desires have been nourished, then we are in a state of all needs met. It's like giving the dog the bone and it will do what you want. It sits and it's happy and it's okay because it feels it's got everything that it needs. And the three core human desires actually relate spiritually to the base three chakras. And the last one, the root chakra, is to do with our sense of security. And we will, as human beings, feel a little bit worried or contracted or threatened if our sense of security is ever out of balance. So this is often things like it's where the lines get crossed between money and love, that we equate security with finances. And then we have this funny thing between if somebody is not keeping us secure, then they don't love us. So we have a funny thing in the mind when it comes to, if they love me, they're supposed to keep me secure. And we're trying to get this security from outside of ourselves, such as jobs, partners, things like this. Whereas if we can recognize that the only person responsible for our own sense of security is us, and then the base chakra is open, it flows, we go, I'm trying to get something, I'm trying to nourish my sense of security from outside me, but actually the reality is inside out, not outside in. And by that one, I mean, so second stage of consciousness is most people think that life is happening to them rather than life is being created by them. And once we make that flip and that definition, we can go, I am the only one responsible for my own sense of personal security. And then we lock in and we're able to ground into presence. Or unless you have that first one in that you can invoke your sense of presence, there's no point trying to do any spiritual non-thought because you just won't get there. So the first one is security. Can we invoke our own sense of personal security in this now moment and leave everything else that's flying on in our lives just doing its thing? Then the next chakra up is approval. And this one is when we are relating to other people or we're wanting to gain a sense of approval from others and get approval from outside of ourselves. And this one is a little bit linked to the security as well, because it's on top of that other chakra. When we were perhaps living in caves in Neanderthal times and there would have been a saber-toothed tiger, you were much more likely to be eaten by the tiger if you were on your own. Whereas if you were accepted in the pack and approved of by the tribe, then you were much more likely to be in and your life was a lot safer. So when we want to be approved of by other people, it's linked to that sense of safety. And we go, if everyone else approves of me and I'm accepted by the clan, I'm secure. So those two go hand in hand as well. So the next one is our personal sense of approval, or we're judging ourselves. We feel like we've done something wrong or bad, or we're judging and hating on ourselves for something that's happened, and we can't quite approve of everything that we've done and everything that we will do. So that's the second, we call them nawis in shamanism, but I use the word chakra because everybody knows that one. The third nawi center is the power center, and this one is linked to control. So going up the levels, we have security, approval, and then control. And these three things are three core human desires. That is it. Every single moment, the human being is either looking for one of those three things. They're either looking for security, they're either looking for approval, or if none of those things are met, then they want to control. And then the person goes into absolute control mode, panic, I need to control this, and do this, is because the other two Nawi centers are contracted and blocked. Whereas when we are secure, we invoke that security for ourselves, and we approve of ourselves wholeheartedly, the control then kinks up into the soul. Whereas if the other two are contracted, the control mechanism is then being led by the ego. So this is your secret code for becoming present. Security, approval, then you can relinquish control to the soul, and voila, you find you are much easily connected to the metaphysical space and your soul's voice if you are able to do these three things. Now you might be thinking, yes, but what happens if I can't do these things? What happens if I can't invoke my own sense of security? What happens if I don't approve of myself? And what happens if I go into control mode the entire time? And the self-doubt thing starts coming in, and you're like, well, it's all very well and good saying that, Claire, but can I actually do this? And that brings me on to secret number 2. And this is your self-healing cycle. And this one is extremely important because it will send you through and help you alchemize anything that's going on in your life. So if you come to do your security, approval, control, and you go, actually, no, I can't access the security. I've got something going on here. Then we would do the self-healing cycle to unlock that block so that you are able to access those things, and you find that your energy is flowing. So this is also a really good way of finding out where your blocks are. What do you need to work on and work through? And then you do your simple self-healing cycle. This works because it works with the shamanic medicine wheel. So it goes round the medicine wheel, uses the archetypes of the medicine wheel. And the medicine wheel is the 4 directions: south, west, north, east. And they have archetypes, archetypes that are expressed as animals in these sections. And we find this is the reason why we absolutely love films and movies and stories, because actually every single film has a unique formula to it. And the formula of the film, why we love the film so much, is because it's the medicine wheel. It uses these archetypes and it goes through the process. And you find once you know this process and this wheel, that actually if you think back to your past, you'll go, yeah, I've definitely been round the medicine wheel plenty of times. And whenever you think about anything that you've ever gotten through in your life, you will have gone through this process. And it kind of happens on a micro, macro type of level, so that you do these cycles in sort of mini cycles, but then actually we're all doing the cycle in a collective sense as well. So you can apply it to the bigger picture and you can apply it to specific issues. But this is the rhythm that we're moving round as human beings. And this is very Carl Jung psychology, with the collective unconscious all going through the same waves, and we're all being washed by the same archetypes. So this is what you would apply to your self-healing cycle to help yourself move through what you need to move through. So instead of being taken round like you're in a washing machine and you've got no idea what's going on, it's more of a conscious way to coach yourself, to become your own super coach, so that you know where you're going, you can understand the energies that you're working with, you go, okay, now I can see, and you can move yourself through any trauma, any issue on a really conscious level. And I'll speak to the directions now. So the first one that you would go into will be the south. And here we have Sasha Mama, and she is a serpent and a snake. And this archetypal direction is all about shedding. It's all about releasing or digesting something. So this in the film would be the issue. what does the main character have wrong? What needs to be released? What's the problem? What's the thing that we're working with? And usually it's something that needs to drop away and be shed or be digested. Then the next stage in the cycle will be Jaguar, and this is the West, Mother Sister Jaguar, and this is all about fears and facing your fears. So this will be a judgment that you have or something that you're afraid of. In coaching terms, it's called a stressor, and in the film, in the Hollywood movies, this would be the part where we're on the edge of our seat and we're like, oh, the main character's doing something really scary, and I really, you know, they kind of meet up with their edge and they're going for it and they're doing something really scary, and it's the dramatic bit in the film. And then when they push through the drama bit in the film and they've gotten over their fears, then everybody cheers and everybody's rejoicing and it's like, yeah, they did it. And the next section of the wheel is the North, which is Hummingbird, and this is all about magic and joy and bringing in the magic and the joy and the beauty and the energy. And then finally you would come into the East, and the archetype here is the eagle or the condor, and this one, it would then be the moral of the story and finding an effective perspective. What have you learned from going through this entire process? What's the medicine? What is the takeaway that we found in this journey? And you'll find any issue in your life that you ask in the South, okay, what am I trying to get from outside of myself? Is it security? Is it approval? Is it control? Which one of those things is out of whack? Do I need to get nourished? Then you move on to, okay, now what am I afraid of? What fear is stopping me and holding me back here? And then this is the part where you would take the fear out of the body. Usually it's stuck in the body and it needs to be unraveled out of the body. Then once it's completely out of the body, you find your way into the magic and joy. And you'll be able to see, oh, this is the beauty here. And then the effective perspective. So if it's helpful for me to give you an example of this, so let's say I had, it was a money security issue, and I just lost my job or something, or I was worried about losing my job, or my job was in threat. Then I would say, okay, this is a security-based issue. Then I would move through and go, well, what am I afraid of? And my biggest fears would be, I'd say, well, fear of failure. I feel like I'm being a failure. I've got a daughter who's 4, so I would feel like I wouldn't be able to provide for her. I'd feel like I'd failed her as a mum. And I'd be worried for her safety as well as my own. Then I would move through and say, well, can you find any magic and joy out of all of this? And I would think, well, the magic and joy is the amount that I love my daughter. The fear is only heightened because I love her so much and I want to protect her and I want her to have the most best magical experience. So my joy comes from the love of my little girl. And then I would move around to the East and say, okay, well, what's the effective perspective here? What's the medicine out of this fear of losing your job? And I would think, well, the love is much stronger than the fear. So even if I did lose my job, I know, because I love my daughter so much, that I would do anything, absolutely anything, to pull it out of the bag for her. I would then get 3 other jobs. I would find something. I would do all it took. I would ask lots of people for help, and I would be there, and I get really resourceful and do whatever it takes. And then you find from asking the questions and doing the wheel that actually the medicine is much stronger than the fear I had in the first place. That actually this just empowers me to help me, to let me see that I am actually an amazing mum. And it's because of my love and determination that then those things seem a little bit insignificant, and then you feel a lot better about the issue. Okay? So does that make sense? But once you get good at this, it's very easy to apply it to absolutely anything and move through any kind of problems. Once you've done it with yourself a few times with your own issues, you then get much better about assisting other people around the wheel. Although I will say, a little side note with that, do use it for yourself, as a takeaway from this call. For the first part, I wouldn't jump straight into attempting to coach friends and family with the medicine wheel, because you might be met with a little bit of resistance. If you're trying to use this to sort of change and fix other people, that might be met with a little bit of resistance. So just be mindful about practicing it for yourself, for the first part at least. Okay, so now the thing with the self-healing cycle that you're probably wondering is, okay, that seems all very simple and easy, but does it take ages? Like, how much time do I need to put into coaching my entire life? And is this going to take me absolutely forever to learn or forever to implement? And that brings me on to secret number 3, which is the integration, which I find is absolutely the most important part, because actually, time-wise, for me, you can't really afford not to implement this, because if one is in a state of stress and if one is in a state of worry, then you actually find that you're caught up in stress and worry, or in your issues for hours and hours and hours. You might lose half a day, when if you kind of sat down and said, okay, I'm going to do 20 minutes, I'm going to put myself round the wheel, get over this, then you actually find, I'm better in my system, I'm back with my present self, and I can actually get on and be productive and do then what you need to do with your day. That we actually find that worrying and recreating issues takes up a lot of time. So for me, implementing something like this is a lot more powerful than wasting time that we don't even realize we're wasting, caught up on something that's stressing us out and causing us stress. So very important. And when you're good at it, it will be really, really quick. Very, very quick to implement and go through. And the other part of the integration is a pattern interrupt, so that you can remember to implement and do these changes. And by a pattern interrupt, I mean taking 5 seconds, let's say, when you're doing mundane things, like number 1 will be going to the toilet, the other one will be brushing your teeth, and the other one will be just before you eat. So if you take those 3 things and decide, okay, I'm going to put a Post-it note on my toothbrush, I'm going to put a Post-it note on the fridge, I'm going to write myself a little note on the toilet door or wherever it is, pattern interrupt or whatever you need to put on there. And all you would do is hold your breath for 5 seconds. So whenever you go to the toilet, you would just hold your breath. And count to 5, and then breathe out like we did at the start of the call, and that would reset your nervous system and just pattern interrupt you into the present moment. And if you're doing that at sort of 3 random times during your day, hold your breath just before you brush your teeth, and hold your breath just before you eat, just to give yourself a chance to come back into your body. And actually that will take you a few seconds, but implementing something like that in your day will dramatically increase your capacity for connection, because you will be patterning interrupt yourself into the present moment, into your security, approval, control. And the more that you can come into the now moment, the bigger your connection to source will be. So presence is very, very important when practicing mystical skills. As in your day-to-day life, if you're coaching yourself, you find you're not worrying anymore, you've got more presence during the day, Then when you do, let's say, do a shamanic journey, that will increase your mind energy to an exponential amount. That then when you are journeying, because you're present most of the day, you'll find all of your psychic abilities are just increasing altogether. And by doing the journeys and strengthening the ability to use the imagination and journey the worlds, you're increasing that mind energy. So all of those things are going to make you an absolutely amazing mystical master. So let's recap what we've learned. Number one, the most important skill of the holistic practitioner is the shamanic journey, so that you are working on all three levels, incorporating that soul healing and learning to navigate the worlds. The first secret of mystical mastery is how to connect to source every time, and that is your present moment. Give the human what it desires: security, approval, relinquish control, and you are automatically locked in, loaded, ready to go. Secret number two, so that you can do this, and if you feel that there's a block, alchemize yourself through it, is the self-healing cycle to make you an absolute super coach. And secret number three is integrating this into your life to see radical changes. You spent a week doing your hold the breath, pattern interrupt, you really would absolutely see radical changes. And add this in with a weekly practice of doing one guided shamanic journey, and you'll absolutely be away. If you had the choice between trying to do all of this yourself without any guidance, having someone who already's done it to help you, guide you and work with you to get results, which would you choose? Would you choose to go it alone, or would you rather get some help and guidance? So just let me know in the chat. Type 1 if you feel like you've got enough information to do it on your own, and type 2 in the chat if you would rather get some help, get some guidance, so that you're knowing how to do all of this in the most optical way. 2s. Beautiful. So those that are putting a 2, if you are interested in learning more and getting your shamanic practitioner qualification, so that you can learn extensively how to shamanic journey, how to speak to spirit, then I would like to tell you about my upcoming course that's going to teach you just that. Psychic Shamanic Practitioner Training, brought to you by the Shamanic Practitioner Association. And I'll give you a quick overview of what we're going to go through in each module. So for those of you that are really interested in supporting yourself, supporting others, practicing these most profound techniques, the self-healing cycle, so that you get really good at supporting and alchemizing yourself and your all needs met, security, approval, control. This is how you come into the metaphysical state of love, all needs met, and from there you can access your soul's voice. So if you want to have a full comprehensive teaching of these techniques, then they are all in the Shamanic Practitioner Training Level 1. So if you are interested in becoming a shamanic practitioner and starting your journey on the medicine wheel, then do stick with me and I'll just go through with you what's in this training. So module 1 of level 1 practitioner training, you get the extensive training with course sheets. You get a booklet that you can print out with this as well. It's all online, so you've got lifetime access to it. How to connect to source every time. And this is practicing your security, approval, control. I'll go through the exercise again in complete depth. You've got your sheets. It also includes how to be in integrity with psychic work. So how to keep really clear energetic borders when you're doing psychic things. This is about not not interfering with somebody else's energy uninvited, if that makes sense. Being really, as a shaman, you need to be really clear and crisp with your thoughts and how you're working and what you're doing so that you can stay in integrity with the work. Module 2 is called Connection and Coaching. In this, you'll learn a little bit about the foundations of shamanic lineages, because shamanism is so vast. There's so many different lineages and lots to call on. So I give you a brief foundation so that you can have a really clear understanding of the work. This should also eradicate any fears. Sometimes there's passed through the lineages almost some fear threads to do with darkness and it being dangerous and all of those sorts of things. So we go through and eradicate all fear so that you're really in integrity with this energy and with the work, so that you can really understand what it's about, debog any myths that are out there. And we also then go through the self-healing cycle, again, to make you a super coach. And I really go into this in depth because it's such an amazing, quick skill to have, that you know to go through all 4 steps and then you're done, using the energy and the wisdom of the medicine wheel. And it's also on the course sheet, so you'll get a booklet with the steps written out so that you can go through it really quickly and easily. Once you can coach yourself very well, you use this with your clients so that you can help alchemize any problem that your clients bring to you as well. Module 3 is Align. And this is about opening sacred space, calling in the shamanic directions, opening sacred space. You would do this before you journey or before any type of healing work. You can use it for house cleansing, whatever you're calling in sacred space for. And this is such a held container because we call in all 4 sides, the bottom and the top. You will have no leaky energy. Nothing can get in and upset your work or your sacred space. It's really useful, rather than just doing healing work in an open space and maybe opening one gate and calling in love and light. You really are held very safely in the shamanic container because we call in all 4 sides, so nothing is going to be able to penetrate or get in that space that you don't want in there, right? And also used for psychic connection. So once you're held in sacred space, all the messages that are coming in through your consciousness are going to be messages from spirit. And in this module as well, it's important that you do this correctly so that when you are working with your clients giving shamanic healing, that you don't take on any of their energies, right? And we go through a little bit about not taking on your client's energy. So when you're healing, or not taking on their ailment or, you know, their heavy energy, how do we not take on the energy of our clients when working? Module 4 is called Expand. And this is, it is simple. I hope you believe that, because metaphysics and the unseen realms, speaking about the unspeakable, is fairly, it can be a little bit out there and esoteric sometimes. But I have had feedback, if you do want to listen to testimonials from clients that have already taken this training, saying that I do explain it very simply and easily. It's tangible, easy to understand information and understanding of metaphysics and the unseen realms, so that you've got a nice map there. And with the understanding comes that feeling of safety, and you know where you're going and you know what you're doing. It's a really good foundation to start from. In this, we will go through the 3 worlds. In metaphysics, we have the Uku Pacha, the K Pacha, and the Hanak Pacha. And the keepers of these worlds, the energies, and who you're asking for help when you journey in the metaphysics. So it's kind of where to go and which energy do you ask for. And it's really good to know the energy that you are specifically going to ask for, because if you're there asking anyone for help or any energy can get a little bit messy if you're going to an energy that's been asked, that everyone is going to the same energy. And it's because the Incas have been doing this for, you know, so many years. This energy is built up and it's powerful, and it's got a specific kind of job or archetype, if that makes sense. So it's really useful to use the same energy and the same lineage, because the power of it has been built up consistently. It's like calling in space. When you use the shamanic directions, these energies have been used and called upon for so long that they are really strong and really powerful. So you're tapping into something that's been used for so long, rather than journeying and going somewhere and hoping to get an energy's attention. Do you see what I mean? It's really good to use what's already been done, and then you've got a streamlined version to this really powerful energy. Module 5 is navigate. So this is about your map to the shamanic journey. So how do we alter brainwaves? How do you really get into that trance state, that metaphysical state? And where do you go? So all of the layers that are used in the world, when to use tunnels, when to use vortexes, when to use portals, what really is space consciousness? How do you tap in to that consciousness so that you're able to have the experience of the metaphysical? Because it is just shifting the consciousness to almost that different realm. When we're in this physical realm, we've got a certain consciousness to experience it, and you want to shift into space consciousness to be able to experience the metaphysical space, if you see what I mean. So we go through where you go when you journey, you know, where do you want to start from, where do you want to finish, how to charge almost your metaphysical power, and taking with you the sacred geometry of oxygen and doing breath work, using the sacred geometry and breath work to almost power you up for your journey. Yeah, it's like, yeah, how to live in that world comfortably, right? How to navigate the metaphysical. So we go through that in real depth. Module 6 is then mystical master. And this is then becoming an expert at the shamanic journey. So now you know how to connect to source every time. You've got your self-healing cycle to get you out of a funk when you do feel that heavy energy. Then you know exactly what to do, who to call on, what energies to use, how to call in space, where to go, what to use. And then this is about bringing it all together and making sure that you're able to journey kind of quickly and effectively. And it's really turning this skill into super psychic. And there is one specific quick switch that you can do to do this. So it will be practice your shamanic journey. And then when you get to this module, it'll be like, okay, this is now the golden key that you need. That it's like, right, now I can get my psychic messages. Now I know how to like really receive those psychic messages from spirit. So this is a really important module that will really kind of allow everything to click into place for you, so that you're suddenly like, yes. And you really need to be good at this skill for doing, we use it in shamanic healing techniques to give psychic messages to your clients, but you also need it if you're going to do any metaphysical work. So any past life healing, any soul retrievals, any ancestral chords and patterns. If you're going to do the shamanic shift, all the shamanic healings, you really need to be a mystical master, because we work a lot in the metaphysical, because this is the third layer to the shamanic healing, right? Somatic release for the body and cognitive shifts for the mind. And then we use journey work and these mystical abilities to do the soul part, the soul layer of the healing, so that your client is able to shift on all of those levels. And then you have full transformation, rather than doing just somatic release for the body, waiting 6 months, and then maybe doing cognitive shifts for the mind is going to take a lot longer. Whereas if you do them all in one, it really is such a profound experience. So you really need to be good at your mystical abilities for being a shamanic practitioner. And this is hopefully where you'll finally go, oh, okay, now I can really feel the difference, or I can really feel those messages from the different energies, from spirit, from my guides, from whichever energy is giving you that message. So this will bring you real clarity, this module. Module 7 is then, once you have your messages from spirit, now you're a mystical master, it is now understanding this new language. So we go into dream analysis, translating your mystical messages. Sometimes they're fairly metaphorical, or if they come through different channels. So you could be really visual. You could get a really visual message. It could be really kinesthetic, so lots of feeling coming through, not much visual, and you've got to put all of these pieces together. So this is really learning that language and how to speak the language of energy, because it is a different language to verbally what we're used to. Some things come through the auditory channel and you can hear language, certainly, but other things are going to come through somatically or kinesthetic. You'll feel them, you'll feel an emotion, you'll feel a sensation in your body, or visually, and you'll see images and things coming through. So it's really a new language that you'll need to get a handle on. So this is all about understanding the language of energy. And then finally, the last couple of modules is about readings and healings. So module 8 is, how do you give divination? And divination is a shamanic psychic reading. How do you give a mystical reading either to yourself or to somebody else? And we go through different ways to journey and really get a mystical reading for somebody and be able to give divination. So you'll be able to give this as a standalone session. You can just give someone divination, or you can add it into something that you're already doing. Maybe you already do Reiki or reflexology or another version of holistic work. You can add in this piece and give your clients that divination as an extra or as a standalone. Then module 9 is shamanic healing. And this one is just so that you're understanding how shamanic healing works. How do you give a basic shamanic healing? And this is either to heal yourself and to heal others. So we'll do putting it all together. You'll be opening space, and then how do you cleanse and clear, taking things off safely and effectively, and then also putting energy and life force back in. We use rattles and feathers, and I'll go through how you activate your shamanic tools so that they're really being used in the most effective way. So this is a nice, beautiful, comprehensive level 1 shamanic practitioner. This is also what you will be coming back to if you decide to, take your training further. It's like the idea, certainly we're never done, in this work. There's layers, there's nuance, there's new things that we're learning and teaching to ourselves. That is the human experience, to keep experiencing and learning more. So this level 1 is online, because you will hopefully continuously come back to it. This is a foundation that you need if you were continuing the medicine wheel, or if you were continuing any type of holistic work or healing. You would still want to come back to security, approval, control, being able to be present and connect with yourself. You will want to come back to that self-healing cycle at those moments in your life where you're experiencing those different waves. You'll want to be reminded of, okay, where do I go now? What was that portal for? Do I now use a vortex? it's online, so you have lifetime access to it, because you'll be wanting to come back to these amazing tools. The rest of the medicine wheel, I do teach either in person or online. So you can come to in-person trainings if you wanted to take level 2 and learn illumination healings, be a mesa carrier, start working with a mesa. You can take level 2 either online or in person as well. But this level 1 is essential. It's really essential information that you will want to keep coming back to again and again and again and again and again. The bonuses, very important if you do want to really take this special offer today. Bonus 1 is different ways to give a psychic shamanic reading, putting this into practice. And if you're taking the training, you get a specific student Facebook group, so that you're able to buddy up with a student from the course that's doing the same training as you. You can then give exchanges, give each other testimonials, and that's a really good way to boost your practice. That's an essential part. Bonus 2, you get a full library of guided shamanic journeys and breathwork classes. And this is to accelerate your mind power training. So if you wanted to do one every couple of days, do one every week, you absolutely can do. And as a bonus 3, you will get 12 weeks free access to the online Zoom classes, so that you can keep up your psychic powers. And this is every Wednesday. We have a 1 o'clock and a 7 o'clock Zoom call live. Okay. And for anyone on the training, doing shamanic practitioner training with me, you are able to ask Q&A on the live calls as well. We'll do Q&A at the end. Usually you would email your message in first, in case various people have the same question, or if I've answered it before, then I can point you in the right direction. But essentially you can have live Q&A with me as part of these online weekly offerings as well. So you have your questions answered live by myself every Wednesday. You have 12 weeks free access to this live call, a live call with me, group Zoom as well. So it's really, really is amazing. The total value of all of this should be in excess of 6,379 if you add up all of the parts as individual trainings, put it all together. But if you have taken this masterclass, then I've got some good news. I'm going to offer this level 1 practitioner training with a very special twist. And this is for extra motivation to get you through the material, so that you can be up and running as a shamanic practitioner, charging clients in no time, because it's important to me that you use and implement this new skill for yourself. As well, if there's a money back guarantee. Yes, 100%. If you are not satisfied, you didn't learn anything on this training, you will get 100% refund. So if you're certain that you know you will love this shamanic practitioner level 1, you can start earning money as a practitioner as soon as you like. I want to get you up and practice. That's why you get all of these free goodies, free bonuses. Based on the value I have given so far, if you are confident you will learn more from this training, you can take the pay now option. Pay today only $297 right now. This practitioner training will eventually be £997. It's a level 1 practitioner training. Eventually it will be nearly £1,000. This training is supposed to be $997. You get it today for $297. It really is something to jump on board with now, because when you come back to this training later and you realize, oh my God, it's really expensive, you'll really kick yourself for not jumping in right now. You have lifetime access to the training. I love this work so much. Shamanic practitioner, one-to-ones, working with a mesa, healing other people, so life rewarding, and the ripple of it going out over humanity with everyone helping each other, because this is such a transformational process that gives lasting results. It's so important that there is more shamanic practitioners out there helping more people. That's why you get it today for only a fraction of the cost for this exclusive training. And one more thing, if you join the exclusive student Facebook group after purchase, you'll get all the dates and the notifications in there. And it's also so important to have community and other people doing the same things as you. So please, if you do jump in, do join the exclusive student Facebook group. It's different to the main Facebook group. It's for students only, so you can find a buddy in there that's doing this training with you. And yeah, remember to do that. Remember to jump on. Please go to this link now and sign up, because it's not available for long. And I will look forward to seeing you on the live calls every Wednesday with your questions, so that you can practice your mystical abilities, get super good at this skill, align to this sacred energy. You're able to use it to make decisions in your life. You're able to use it for self-healing. It literally is how to use thought to manifest the life of your desires. It is this secret skill that most people really just don't know about. And if you read any really good manifestation books, they will be talking about this skill. How do you use thought, love, connection to self, heart open connection to self, using emotion, love connection, and specific thought intention to really manifest and create the life of your desires. It is all about shamanic journeying. This is how you give psychic readings. This is how you change your life. This is how you heal yourself and your body. It is the one skill that you will need for the rest of your life to make your life your super life. Your life is coming from you. Coming from your thoughts. It's coming from who you are, who you be, what you're thinking about, what you're doing, what you're saying. How you get super conscious about that is to practice and refine your shamanic journeying. Have a good relationship with that metaphysical space, because that metaphysical space is what is the power that is creating your outward reality. It is so imperative to understand that. If you want a consciously lived, holistic, healthy life, this is the way that you do it. I'll call in the directions to be with everybody. So if you'd like to close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths. Let the information settle into your body, into your nervous system. Thank yourself, thank your soul for being here, growing and understanding. Ombi ombi hattana pukin. Beautiful eagle and condor, come be here with us. Take us to the mountains we only dare to dream of. Allow us to fly to the heights of Great Spirit. Help us to see through the eyes of eagle, no longer in judgment and constraint. Help us to come from a place of trust and freedom. Thank you, great eagle and condor. Hatanapuki. Upichai. To the winds of the south, great serpent, come be here with us. Help us to shed the past the way that you shed your skin. Help us to see through the eyes of serpent. Show us the beauty way, to walk with no ripples upon this earth. Thank you, great serpent. Sasha Mama. Upichai. To the winds of the west, Mother, Sister Jaguar, Mighty Otorongo, come be here with us. Help us to walk through fear and show us there is nothing to fear. Help us to see through the eyes of Jaguar. Allow our shadow selves into the light. Thank you, Mother, Sister Jaguar, Mighty Otorongo. Upichai. To the winds of the north, royal hummingbird, ancestors and ancient ones of all lands, come, be here with us. Show us the path of wisdom and love without drama. Allow us to embark on this epic journey. Help us to see through the eyes of hummingbird. Warm your hands by our fire. Whisper to us in the winds of time. Thank you, royal hummingbird. Siwa Kenti. Upichai. Taking a nice deep breath in and out. Perhaps you want to use a sigh. Thanking the body of source energy for surrounding you. Bringing in all directions, all archetypes, holding space for you. Feeling the floor, Pachamama, beautiful Mother Earth. Remembering your feminine. And then connecting up with Inti Tai Tai, Father Sky. Being held in this masculine energy. The masculine container so that your feminine creativity can dance. Thank you, Father Sky. Beaming your light and love. Surrounding mind, body, soul. Connecting us to our highest truth. I am you. Upichai. Beautiful. And then coming back into the space. Taking all of that energy with you into tonight, into tomorrow, into your life. Thank you all for coming. Spending Monday evening with me. Mwah.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks, Heather.
Thank you very much once again. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Yeah. Thank you. Received. Thank you, thank you. Mwah. Upichai.